Fellas, what's going on? Elias the Great reporting in. Elias Thompson, Elias the Prophet, whatever you want to call it, back with another video. Now, this video is going to be a little different than what I normally post. Usually it's a vlog, blog, whatever you call it. Just my training, some music in the background. But today we're going to be breaking down my complete deadlift session. What is going to propel me to that 800-pound raw sumo deadlift here in the next couple months. So we're going to be going over that, voicing over the complete thing, giving you guys insight why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, hopefully you guys can take away something for yourselves with this. Also, I haven't said it yet, subscribe to the channel. You're interrupting. Little rodents. Alright guys, so this is how Elias Thompson, the Great, trains pretty much for everything, but mostly trains his deadlift. You're going to see that today. So guys, I run conjugate, but I run a conjugate modified specifically a way that most people don't run it. So what I do, as you're seeing right now, warming up, we got 135 on the bar, but I max each week on a deadlift variation on my deadlift day, a squat variation on my squat day, and then I max on just a random press on my upper days. I don't run no DUP sub max linear block. This is the what I've been doing recently, is this conjugate style training that I kind of tweak for myself. There's a lot of maxing going on. A lot of people would disagree with that method, so to say, like it's too many maxes and things like that. I find obviously I make pretty good progress on it, so I'm going to keep it the same way because you don't want to change something that's working. But right now we're working up. After I hit 315, we tossed the band on here. Today, though, this workout, I want to say something right now. If you got a bunch of people, when you're maxing out like this frequently, and you're focused on hitting PRs, obviously you want to get in the killer mindset. You want to hit the lift. And today, I think this affected my max. But I had all these people, talking to me that I haven't seen in a while at this gym. And, like, what do? You tell them to go away? Like, quit bothering me, man. I'm trying to max out. It's like what I felt like saying, but as you can see in this clip right here, these guys just talking to me, and this affects it because you're not in the flow, you're not in the steady state, and it kind of makes me mad when people are bothering me like that. But whatever. Talk to them today. If I was deadlifting on a deadlift bar, this is a stiff bar actually. But if I was going for an actual PR, I probably would have told them, like, hey man, talk to me after I attempt this lift. But, yeah, talk to him. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. But, the mindset's strong. We kept going. So we got 315. I tossed the band on here. Now, this band is about 100 pounds more than what's on the bar. 100 pounds of tension on the top. And I honestly think, because the more I use this band when I set it up, the way I set it up, it just gets tighter and tighter the way I go up. And it almost becomes unbearable at points. So here's 405. 405 moves kind of slow. 495 moves all right. Took the shoes off, back down to barefoot. One thing I noticed recently with my sumo stance is I'm going pretty wide on my stance. I don't know if I want to narrow it in, like maybe a half inch more. But I want to get my hips back closer to the bar. I'm feeling more tight recently, and every once in a while when I do feel tight, I try to stretch. Here's the 585, also with these hex plates and the way I have the band set up. It almost pulled me forward. I almost failed the lift. So balance-wise, that made me mad. I was like, that didn't go as smooth as it should. But here's 645. Now, I failed this like 5 times. This is the closest I've came. Off the ground. Get it up. Band just eats me at my knees. One thing I do notice, guys, with my sumo, if you guys want to rewind it, is recently, obviously, my low back, my back in general, my core are my weaknesses. I feel like my legs have so much more power in them. My lower body has so much more to give. And this is the same with the squat. I come out of the hole fine, but then I dump forward if it's too heavy. It's my back, my core can't support the weight. And that is my main weak point. And that's what I want to try to bring up here, is because I feel that force, that loss of, force transfer, when I start my pull initially. Now, a lot of guys say you pull too explosively. Now, some guys pull explosively. I find it way better. I've tried the slack pull. I've tried all this. The explosiveness is a weapon to me. It helps me. I need to lift explosively, otherwise I'm weaker. It adds to me. It's my advantage. But what holds him back is not being able to transfer that complete power transfer because my core, my back and stuff, I'm not tight, I'm not strong enough up top. That is, as you can see here, we're doing, this is my speed work. So after I max, obviously, with conjugate, you got speed work. And right now what I'm doing is going to rotate between conventional speed work and then sumo deficit speed work every other week. And what I use with speed work, this is a little bit heavier than most people. Like, this isn't meant to be completely fast. What I like using it for speed work, because I am explosive, like I was saying, I like doing my speed work almost as a form of progressive overload. So I like running it as long as I possibly can, as long as it's crisp and I'm progressing and it's feeling, I'm explosive. It may not be, up to speed, with, technically calling it speed work, but as long as I'm progressing and it's feeling, pretty good week by week, I try to add 5 pounds and run that as long as I possibly can. So, as you guys see, did my conventional deadlift banded there for like 10 to 12 singles. Then, the next week I'm going to come and do my deficit sumo deadlifts, same way banded. And then I'm going to come back the week after that and throw on 410. And, just keep progressing, like almost linear progression in that aspect. Same here with these box squats. We got 345 on, low box squats, wide stance below parallel, sit down, 10 sets of 2. Each rep, these aren't fast, but each and every rep I'm exploding, like, I'm trying to jump. I'm basically trying to jump through the ceiling, as you can see at the top. That's why the lockout's so aggressive. And you can't really see my stance here with this rack and this angle. It looks, it almost looks like a normal squat stance, but like my feet are out to the sides, touching the metals here. That this rack's probably about 40, maybe 42 inches wide. So it is a wide stance. We're sitting back below parallel. As you can see, my hips are going up first. This lift right here, the box squat, for those who want to get more power out of the bottom of their sumo deadlift, this is huge. This lift, definitely, as you can see on my sumo deadlifts too, I never fail out of the bottom. Very rarely I can't get it off the ground. What it is my lockout. My hips always shoot up first. I get the weight up to above my knees, and then I fail. And, obviously, if I can get more power out of the bottom, I fly through the lockout, but that lockout point, that sticking point is, more upper back, more glutes, things like that. And if I have a better force transfer out of the bottom, I can get the weight moving faster, and therefore, so on and so forth. So basically, as you guys can see, I keep some things constant, but I don't do any, like, linear periodization, RPE, things like that. I've been doing this for a long time, and this has put a lot of pounds on my maxes. So it does work. What I really like about this system is you pick the lifts, more so than anything. I like the speed training aspect. I like the maxing out aspect of it, but you pick the lifts, certain lifts, accessory lifts that where you're weak to target your weak points. And I feel like you get a lot farther than just being limited, because when you're doing like DUP and like sub max, all this stuff works too. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Obviously it does. You got world champions doing it. But for me personally, I feel like I'm limiting myself by, what I can do on a big bar, like, a bench squat deadlift. I'm limiting myself to my weak point. And here, you just hammer that weak point for, a couple months, and boom, all of a sudden becomes strong. So, as linear as it gets for me is this here with this speed work. And over time, you build up, you get stronger, you get heavier. It's all about, this conjugate stuff is like all about breaking certain things down. So like, all right, so my box squat's going to improve my sumo deadlift. But now let's break it down even further. What's going to improve my box squat? Obviously, core, back extensors, hip extensors, back in general, all that stuff. So you break it down even further. So here, like, what's going to improve my conventional deadlift? Or like my lockout. Right here we have snatch grip, stiff-legged deadlifts from a deficit. This is 315 with the snatch grip. And I'm going to up the weight on these next week. I'm going to go up to 365. So basically I started here a couple weeks ago with 315 for like 4 to 5 reps. And now we're up to like 9 or 10 this workout. And these are tough. But I got the snatch grip in there for more upper back development. I got the stiff-legged deficit, obviously, for more lower back. And these are tough. I only did two sets of these today because we already conventional deadlifted. And these are hard, man. But these are great. Great for grip. I try to train everything without straps as much as I can. And yeah, guys, these definitely have been helping my back. Not only size wise, but strength wise as well. Hamstrings and glutes too. But as you can see, this is all weak point focused training. Just then each week I rotate my max and I try to come back. To like that, like when I feel more confident in 645 banded, that's when I'm going to attempt it again because we got some work to do. I don't want to attempt this in 2 weeks. Maybe I can get it, but I want to build up. I want to build up. So now we got rows after this. I always do one thing with on these lower days is it's a primary back focused, glute hamstring focus. But one thing with back guys, training rows and things like that, thickening my upper back, mid back, lats, traps, is on my lower days I go heavy. So here we had 275 for 3 sets of 10 on these wider grip Pentley rows. These ain't strict. These ain't like, they're nothing. They're not your typical rows you see people doing. But a little body English, I really don't think is a problem because on my upper days is when I train them lighter. I'll do like inverted rows. I'll do chest supported rows. And I'll do like 2 sets, 3 sets of 20. With a pause at the top. So I hit the best of both worlds. And what I noticed from this high frequency back training is 1, it blows up your back. 2, I'm able to get stronger faster. And 3, I really don't see any downside to the very high frequency, back training. I feel like you can't overtrain your back. I have not experienced any, other than the low back, I've not experienced anything like that. So then we come into, this is the last big accessory exercise. Here we do 3 sets of 20 on the reverse hypers. Now this is a West Side barbell reverse hyper machine. I have like 2 plates, some 10s and 5s on it. No idea what the weight is. All I know is that I've just been trying to add, push the weight up on this exercise. And this exercise right here, not only does it fry the glutes, hamstrings, and lower back, you get a massive pump from it. You build muscle. It's a growth stimulus, but also makes me feel better. Makes me feel more recovered. As sore as it might get my muscles, the better my low back feels, the better, I feel better. As you can see when I swing underneath this table here, that's decompressing your spine, and then on the way back up, you're realigning it. The way I try to do these is kind of like at the top. It doesn't really look like I'm holding, but I'm trying to squeeze at the top as hard as I can, and just let the weight pull my legs back underneath the table, and to come back up. And man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It doesn't look like much, but I swear by this exercise. This is half more than half the reason I'm going to this gym. This and the belt squat, so I can get more volume in, but also have machines that help you recover. That's the name of the game. That's another reason I like this conjugate style stuff, is because you're using accessory lifts, other lifts that aren't as taxing as the big 3, and you're getting, hypertrophy, growth stimulus on the muscles that need it. Without just absolutely frying yourself, having to do RPE 6. That's half the reason these guys can't go as heavy all the time on these DUP programs, these linear blocks, is because if you do, you're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna fry yourself. It's too much volume to recover from. So this is my last set of 275 for 10 on the power Pentley rows. We got the tarps off, showing off the muscle mass, fellas. And that's basically, this is my last set of reverse hypers here, but that's basically it. As you see, we got. We max, that could have went either way. We got the speed work. That's linear progression. I push that as long as I can before I rotate it usually. And, I don't really... Some guys, you got to focus on explosiveness if they're not naturally explosive. But for me, obviously, I focus. I make it more of a linear progression type thing. And we got, my snatch grip, deficit deads. Then we got my Pentley rows. And then we got the reverse hypers. That's... a ton of volume in each one. It's a solid workout. After this is when I mess around with pump work. So you'll see that here. We do curls. We do some back machines, some cable rows, things like that. But the main thing is all that type of training there. The weak point focused, selective exercises to target your weak points, and each week that is the main focus. This stuff is kind of just extra. This is how I train for this stuff, and over time this works. So guys, this is basically how I train a couple of my clients, and you guys will see we'll do maybe one of these, 2 of these each week. We'll do an upper one, a lower one, but ever since I made this switch to this style of training, I've been able to get way stronger, way faster. Get more jacked, more stacked, put on muscle mass, gain weight, gain strength, gain size, stay athletic. And I got to talk about my off days too, guys. This is definitely my most favorite way of training. So thanks for watching the video. Comment, rate, subscribe. See you guys next time.